aside from the security topic, that's really the topic dearest to our hearts. And what we do is we work towards climate friendliness in aviation and in space. And space is, in fact, the means to make, for instance, also aviation a lot more climate friendly.
Hey, SpaceWatchers, this is Space Café Radio, your channel about trends, awesome events and interesting people in the space sector. It is Wednesday, the 10th of April 2024, and we are back at the Space Symposium in Colorado Springs. Brave as we are, we set up an interview appointment in the early morning at the terrace of the beautiful Broadmoor Hotel, looking towards the majestic Rocky Mountains with Cheyenne Mountain in the vicinity. We are here at 1600 meter altitude, but it is with just a few degrees still pretty cold. Also, the conversion between degrees in Fahrenheit and Celsius does not really help. However, we arranged the interview with the chairwoman of the German Aerospace Center, Professor Anke Kaysser-Pyzalla, to talk about the DLR's presence at this year's show, to talk about their security and their climate projects in the center. I'm Thorsten, publisher of SpaceWatch.Global. Enjoy this episode. Hey SpaceWatchers, and good morning here from the 39th Space Symposium in Colorado Springs. And I have the great honor here to sit on the second day in the morning together outside in this beautiful environment with the chairwoman of the DLR, the German Aerospace Center, Professor Anke Kaysser-Pyzalla. Anke, welcome and good morning.
Thanks a lot.
How are you doing today?
Fine. It's really an amazing conference. As you said, it's the 39th Space Symposium already. And I think we have the largest participant number ever. We're at 12,500. It's incredible. Yesterday in the exhibition hall was a buzz that was really so loud that it was impossible nearly to understand each other. It's really amazing.
How often have you been here?
This is the second time, yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be a fixture, though, in the next years.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe you can tell us what are the focus areas of the DLR as you are chairing the entire DLR, adapting to the current challenges that we all face.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, our structure is threefold. So we are the space agency at DLR, headed by Walter Pelzer. We are also a large project management agency headed by my colleague Klaus Hamacher, which in fact acts as a project funding agency for various ministries in Germany. They won't be known outside Germany, actually. And of course, we are the research and development part of DLR. And that means in this research and development, we have about 50 institutes at 30 sites all over Germany. And our focus is on transport. Our focus is on energy. And of course, our major topics are aviation and space.
I'm very happy that you said and space, because I'm not the aviation guy. And so I would like to talk with you about space and security. What are the projects that the DLR is doing?
Yeah, actually, security is among my responsibilities, as it's a cross-cutting topic. Security is both civil and military. And we do that in all our fields. That means in space, in aviation, in transport, and in energy. Of course, the main topics are in space and in aviation. In space, in particular, we cooperate strongly with the German Space Force and the Bundeswehr. And what we think has becoming rather threatening is, in particular, the disturbance of GNSS signals. That's something which, of course, is in the Balticum near Ukraine. And that's a major issue for civil aviation, of course.
Can you allude a bit on the projects you're doing besides the spamming project that you just mentioned in this particular area?
Yeah, we look at, of course, secure and communication, secure navigation issues. We look at Earth observation on the question, of course, high-resolution Earth observation. And our focus is also the question about space debris and satellites, as we have to make sure that our asset in space will function at all times. And it has, of course, become a major issue that we have to ensure that as space now is important for our everyday life, that it's always available. And that concerns, of course, things like the Galileo system, but of course also a number of other satellites and services.
Just to be clear, when you talk about these projects, then these are research projects. So you're not executing them, you're not bringing them to market or market them. That's really on the research side. And then you spin them off or you do that as research for your clients. Is that correct?
Yes. So we have, for instance, developed together with industry and the smallest ever laser communication terminal with TESAT. And in all these projects, we do research, but we do research with a focus of bringing our technologies into industry or making them of use to mankind. So, for instance, in Earth observation, things like wildfires or other dangers to the population, of course, are things we work on, how to detect them with Earth observation. And that's something where we work together with authorities in order to bring into practice what we do in research.
Let's focus a bit on and you mentioned that, space debris topic, because that's something what becomes more and more evident. And I think many companies are working on that. We learned from ESA that brought out the Zero Debris Charter. I think that's a very important step forward. What is the DLR doing in this field? And I'm quite sure you are active in that.
Yeah, we are active in that field with a number of projects regarding, for instance, the observation of space debris, where we contribute, like a number of other people, to the catalogs of space debris. We work on methods on how to increase the resolution in the observation of space debris. We work also on the question on how to check satellites in order to ensure that you can very well observe certain satellites at any time and then make sure that you get rid of those at the end of their lifetime. Another aspect we pursue is the question of how to increase lifetimes of satellites, for instance, by robotic missions, where we aim at refueling. And of course, there is, say, the ultimate thing, that is how to remove satellites by robotic missions. That's also a topic that we have been working on for a number of years.
I wasn't aware that the DLR are active debris removal, but are they satellite projects, or is that just a support for a subsystem that you are working on? Like you said, the robotic arm to grab something or so, but it's not that it's part of a mission today, or?
No, it's not yet, but nevertheless, you expect that it's going to be part of a mission pretty soon. And we think that's the ultimate means to make sure that you can remove debris that there is no other method to remove from the orbit.
We see with the commercial companies, Astroscale or ClearSpace, at least a few actors that are over the last years very active in this field. And we hope to see some results also very soon. Yeah,
I expect also European missions on that.
Let's talk about space and climate. I know that's very close to your heart, and the DLR is very active on the climate change, Earth observation, environmental monitoring side. Can you talk a little bit about the current and the future projects you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. Aside from the security topic, that's really the topic dearest to our hearts. And what we do is we work towards climate friendliness in aviation and in space. And space is, in fact, the means to make, for instance, also aviation a lot more climate friendly. And what we do there is we determine, for instance, in various cases, the emissions that we have in certain regions, emissions both from transport, on streets, on rails, on ships, and of course from aviation. So we do that in certain regions to show that you can, in fact, develop environmental maps. We use space, of course, to determine the various emissions. There are a number of missions planned and ongoing. So missions to detect methane, missions to detect CO2. We are going to go for a DLR mission that goes for CO2 point sources. We have a concept for that mission, but we haven't yet been able to bring that into reality. However, we are looking for the funding and also for partners, because we think it's important that you get both a global view, for instance, on CO2 emissions, and also a view on the point sources so that you can really identify where that CO2 comes from.
When you talk about funding and partners, how does this process look like? Funding obviously is part of the general budget that you have, and then you can forecast it. But how do you integrate partners in that? Because there, especially on this field of gas emissions, there are a few companies already operating worldwide, or at least started their operation worldwide.
So usually we do smaller missions from our institutional budget. However, if a mission becomes too big and too expensive, we can't cover that from our institutional budget. So we are looking for partners. We are looking for funding, either from our ministry or other governmental parts. And we try to find partnering with companies.
How open are you for international partners in general?
We are open for international partners. However, we have to make sure that we don't have any security issues.
What will be the highlights for the DLR in this year? So what can we expect from the DLR? Last year we had NMAP flying. So what are the cool things that are happening this year?
Oh, there's some numbers. You started with NMAP, and NMAP is really as a hyperspectral satellite, and with respect to the service it delivers, it's really unique. And we want to make sure to exploit it, and that concerns, of course, things like the question of plant diseases. We want to use it to detect minerals. There's a number of rather dangerous minerals on Earth and wasteland that you would want to detect, and we have some ideas there. There's a lot coming out of the data of NMAP in the next months. Then, of course, we are going to look forward to the Ariane start. We have been testing important parts of Ariane at our site in Lamperthausen. And, of course, we look forward to seeing that rocket starting in Kourou. Then we have a number of missions planned with our aircrafts, where we look at the emissions of various kinds of propulsion media. So we're looking at sustainable aviation fuels of various kinds, and we will determine how to make also flight routing the most climate friendly. And that's an area where space and aviation come together. So our people from atmosphere physics are going to determine the emissions. And at the same time, of course, we're using our aircraft fleet to provide these experiments, which are really difficult and always quite exciting.
We are a month from the ILA air show, or 1.5 months away from the ILA air show. Will we see this kind of aircraft flying or just on display? Where are we in this process?
We will see them coming in with sustainable aviation fuels, and we will also see our new research aircraft.
Flying?
Yeah, that's going to be at the show. And of course, that's a topic which now extends, for instance, in to military aircraft, where also first experiments have been done. It's a very important and complex topic because it concerns the aircraft vehicle, it concerns routing, and thus it's of course also an international topic, as the ATM has to be able to really do that rerouting, which is quite complex. And of course, you have the economic aspects. Can never forget them.
My last question, because it's quite freezing here outside. Our theme as SpaceWatch.Global reporting here from the Space Symposium this year is space innovation. What can we learn from the space nation, United States? Let me point this question to you. So what can we learn in Germany at the DLR from the United States?
I think we see strong interaction and strong integration between commercial business and the various research institutions such as NASA and others. And you also see that we have a lot of companies at this fair. And in fact, as Germany at our exhibition booth have made sure to also include startups. We have made sure to include a number of smaller companies who are not able to have their own exhibition booth. So I think that's a huge step forward. We try to get a larger exhibition booth next time. So we talk to the organizers, hopefully they'll find a way. It's not yet sure, but at least we've gotten into discussion. What we can also learn is that people are really excited about space. So everybody knows about space. People are walking on the streets with NASA T-shirts and sweatshirts, and I would love to see people in the DLR T-shirts and sweatshirts. But I guess that's going to be a bit later, probably.
Thank you very much for your time, Professor Anke Kaysser-Pyzalla. I wish you a safe return and hear a few more very interesting talks and inputs. Thank you very much
for your time.
If you have further questions, reach out to us at radio@SpaceWatch.Global. If you like these or other episodes of Space Café Radio, leave us a rating on your preferred podcast platform. It is the currency of today. And if you want to stay on the pulse of the space industry, please visit our website at www.SpaceWatch.Global and subscribe to our newsletters. And of course, don't forget to become a Space Watcher. I'm Thorsten Triening, publisher at SpaceWatch.Global, your independent perspective on space.